They thought a beach day was their stage, laughing, shouting, and defying every rule like the world revolved around them. But when arrogance met authority, and their drunken confidence collided with real-life consequences, the tide turned fast. What began as a sun-soaked afternoon of ego and entitlement ended with handcuffs, humiliation, and a brutal reminder that the world doesn't bend for anyone's attitude no matter how loud they shout. The afternoon sun glared off the ocean waves, and the sound of laughter and splashing filled the air. Families were scattered across the beach, kids building sand castles, parents lounging in folding chairs, and tourists strolling barefoot near the surf. But amid the calm, a small disturbance was beginning to unfold near a pink tent pitched close to the shoreline. Two women, both visibly unsteady, wandered near the water's edge, one wearing a bright pink bathing suit with a cartoon pig printed on it, the other in a mismatched bikini. Their laughter was loud and slurred, echoing above the sound of the surf. Every few moments, one of them stumbled, nearly falling into the shallow waves. Concerned onlookers started whispering, some pointing, others shaking their heads. It didn't take long for someone to pull out a phone and dial the local authorities. Moments later, a pair of beach patrol officers arrived, their radios crackling as they approached. "Put your hands behind your back," one of them said instinctively, then quickly added, "Put your hands down." Stop. The women looked startled but didn't seem to grasp the seriousness of the situation. "Hey guys," one of the officers called out, motioning to two other responders. "Can you come over here real quick?" The officer began calmly, explaining that they'd received several calls reporting intoxicated women causing a disturbance on the beach. "We just got a call regarding you guys being intoxicated on our beach," he said. One of the women, wobbling on her feet, blinked in confusion. "I'm not," she muttered. "I'm trying to walk towards the arrow." Her words were slow and uncertain, her coordination worse. Another bystander nearby confirmed what the officers already suspected. "Yeah," the man said, gesturing toward them. "They were exposed. I think the issue was there, either stoned or drunk. I was concerned that the one in the pig bathing suit was going to get drowned." The officer nodded, thanking him for the information before turning back to the women. "All right," he said firmly but politely. "A lot of people have been calling you guys in, thinking you're going to drown. People have been saying your tops have been coming off. There are children around here." His tone was calm but serious. He looked around the area and noticed that indeed, several parents had pulled their kids a little farther down the beach, away from the commotion. "Does it look like we have our tops off?" One of the women shot back, defensive and irritated. Her friend giggled, completely missing the tension. The officer didn't argue. Instead, he asked where their belongings were. "It's over here," the calmer woman said, pointing at the pink tent. "People are just concerned." The officer continued, "We totally understand. No one wants you to drown in our water." The other woman piped up again, half laughing, half serious. No, we don't want to drown either." "I don't want to drown." She stumbled over her words, then added, "I appreciate y'all." The officers exchanged quick glances. It was clear these women weren't dangerous, just intoxicated and oblivious. "Did you guys have anything to drink?" one officer asked, honestly. The calmer woman pointed to a pink boogie board in the sand. "Right here. That's ours." She wasn't answering the question. The officer smiled patiently. "Where are you guys from?" He tried again. "Over there," she said vaguely, pointing inland. "Where are you right now?" he asked. "We're in, Her words trailed off into silence. "What's your name?" the officer asked. "My name is Wanda," she finally said proudly. "Her name's Sandy." The officers introduced themselves, Officer Chino and Patrolman T, and tried to lighten the mood. For a moment, the exchange almost seemed friendly, but then the officers asked for identification. "Hey guys, we're going to need your IDs," one said. The women hesitated. "We're not in trouble, right?" Wanda asked nervously. "We just want to make sure everything's fine," the officer reassured. "We can't have you guys falling around, getting calls like this. People are concerned." At that moment, a man walking by muttered under his breath, "Oh my God, these white people, bro," shaking his head at the ridiculousness of the scene. The officers ignored him and waited for the women to comply. "Let me get your IDs, guys," the officer repeated. The women rummaged through their bags, dropping things in the sand, sunscreen, a half-empty bottle, a towel. Their coordination was so poor that it took several minutes to find their wallets. One of the officers quietly noted their condition over the radio, while the other continued to speak with them. "How'd you guys get here?" he asked. "Are you with them?" He said to another woman sitting nearby. "Yeah, I am," she replied. "Did you drink something with them?" "A little bit. Yeah, but I mean they've been here longer. I just got here." "Are you sober?" "Yeah." "Did you drive?" "I did." The officer nodded, relieved that at least one of them seemed responsible. "Okay, I think it's in your guys' best interest to leave," he said kindly. "We're not trying to be mean, just concerned." But Wanda, the louder of the two, didn't want to go. "We're not leaving," she declared, slurring. "We'll leave when we want." Her friend tried to calm her, whispering something that only made Wanda laugh. The officer sighed. "Guys, we've had multiple calls. Some people even said their kids saw things they shouldn't. You've been falling all over the place. We can smell alcohol on you. We're not here to ruin your day. We just don't want you going in the water like this. The women nodded half-heartedly. The water's heavy though, Wanda protested. It's heavy. I fell because the water's heavy. The officer smiled politely, understanding she wasn't making sense. All right, he said. Just when it seemed like the officers had diffused the situation, Wanda turned to her friend with a smirk that spelled trouble. You know what, she said, her words thick with defiance. They can't tell us what to do. This is our beach too. Her friend Sandy giggled, clearly still intoxicated, and nodded. Yeah, we're not doing anything wrong, she yelled toward the officers. A few beachgoers nearby turned their heads again, sensing the tension returning. The calm that had briefly washed over the scene evaporated as quickly as the tide on the sand. The officers exchanged quick glances. They'd seen this kind of thing before, intoxicated people who became emboldened once they felt safe. Officer Chino sighed quietly. Guys, let's not make this harder than it needs to be, he said in a measured tone. You've been given a chance to leave without any trouble. Just pack up your things and head home. But Wanda wasn't listening. No, you can't tell us what to do, she barked. I know my rights. She jabbed a finger toward the officer, swaying slightly as she did. We're not hurting anybody. Chino took a step closer but kept his hands low and his tone even. You are technically causing a disturbance, he explained. We've received multiple complaints. You've been stumbling into the surf and there are children here. We can't ignore that children, Wanda repeated mockingly. Then maybe they shouldn't be watching, not my problem. Sandy giggled again, trying to hold on to her balance. She whispered something incoherent, and the two of them started laughing uncontrollably. The crowd that had been dispersing began to linger once more, phones out, recording. The familiar glint of smartphone cameras reflected the golden sunlight. Okay, Officer Chino said quietly to his partner. We're going to have to move forward with this. He stepped toward the women. Ladies, I'm asking you one more time, please grab your belongings and leave peacefully. Wanda crossed her arms. No, the officer's patience was running thin. Then I need you to turn around, he said. You're being detained for public intoxication. That's when Wanda's expression changed completely from smug amusement to sudden disbelief. What? You're arresting me? For what? She shrieked. Ma'am, Chino began, we gave you several chances to leave. You refused to comply, and you're clearly intoxicated. You're creating a scene. I'm not drunk, she yelled. I just can't walk straight because the sand's uneven. Her arms flailed as she stumbled backward, nearly falling into her chair. Her friend Sandy tried to intervene. Hey, she's fine. She's just a little dizzy. Ma'am, please step aside, Officer T said firmly. We don't want anyone getting hurt. The situation escalated quickly. Wanda pulled away as Chino gently reached for her arm. Don't touch me, she screamed. You don't have the right to touch me. Chino kept his composure, his tone calm but firm. You are detained. Please turn around. But Wanda wasn't backing down. This is ridiculous, she shouted. I'm calling my lawyer. Ma'am, put your hands behind your back, he repeated. I didn't do anything. Put your hands behind your back. Now. The sound of the ocean faded beneath the rising tension. Wanda's protests grew louder as Chino tried to guide her wrists together. She resisted, twisting away. The officer's patience was nearing its limit, but he still tried to de-escalate. Don't make this worse, he warned. Stop resisting, Officer T added, moving in to help. I'm not resisting, Wanda yelled, right as she jerked her arm free and nearly toppled over again. The moment her movement became erratic, Chino quickly secured her wrists with a practiced motion. The metallic click of the handcuffs snapped through the air. You can't do this, she cried, tears mixing with anger. You can't arrest me for nothing. Her friend started crying too, her intoxicated emotions swinging wildly. Please, she didn't mean it. She pleaded. She's just upset. Chino guided Wanda gently but firmly toward the patrol ATV parked by the boardwalk. You're under arrest for public intoxication and disorderly conduct, he said. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. As they walked, Wanda's anger flared again. This is so unfair. She yelled for everyone to hear. You're arresting me because I'm having fun. You're ruining my life. Chino didn't respond. He'd heard those words 100 times before. Behind them, Sandy tried to follow, stumbling in the sand as she called out, Wanda, I'll get you out, don't worry. At the edge of the crowd, several people had their phones raised, capturing every moment. A few muttered their opinions, some sympathetic, others exasperated. She did it to herself, one woman said. They gave her every chance. Another man shook his head. You can't argue with cops like that. Not smart. When they reached the ATV, Wanda tried one last time to twist free. I can walk on my own, she yelled, even though she could barely stay upright. You don't have to drag me. No one's dragging you, Chino replied calmly. We're just making sure you don't fall. Her voice rose again, louder and shriller. This is police brutality. You're hurting me. The officer's patience finally cracked. Ma'am, enough, he said sternly. You need to calm down. You're not being hurt. Sandy, now sobbing, tried to run toward her friend, but Officer T stepped in front of her. Ma'am, please stay back. You can follow us to the station if you're sober. I am sober, she insisted. She's my best friend. Please don't take her. I understand, he said evenly. But we can't have you interfering. The officers loaded Wanda onto the ATV's back seat. She sat there, handcuffed and furious, muttering curses under her breath. Her cheeks were red, her eyes watery, a mix of anger, embarrassment, and intoxication. As the ATV started toward the boardwalk, Wanda shouted back at the crowd, "You'll all see, this isn't over." The fluorescent lights in the small beachside holding room buzzed faintly, giving off a pale, sterile glow. Wanda sat slumped in the metal chair, her hands still cuffed loosely in front of her. Her eyes were puffy from crying, her once carefree expression now replaced by a heavy, uneasy silence. The adrenaline that had carried her through her outburst had faded, leaving behind only a gnawing sense of regret and the dull pounding of a hangover starting to creep in. Officer Chino leaned against the counter across the room, typing into the computer while his partner filled out the incident report. Every few seconds, the quiet clicking of keys was interrupted by Wanda's sniffles or the faint crash of waves beyond the open station window. After a while, Chino spoke without looking up. "You need some water?" Wanda hesitated. "Yeah," she said softly. "Please." He nodded toward a cooler in the corner, and another officer set a plastic cup in front of her. She took it with trembling hands, sipping slowly. "Thanks," she murmured. For a moment, there was silence again. The contrast between the loud, chaotic beach scene and the stillness of the room was almost jarring. Chino finally turned from his screen and studied her expression. "You know," he said evenly, "this didn't have to go that way out there." "I know," Wanda muttered. I got carried away." He nodded slightly. "You had a few chances to walk away peacefully. We weren't trying to make an example out of you. I thought you were picking on us," she admitted, her voice cracking. "Everyone was staring. I just wanted to defend myself." Chino's tone softened. "No one was trying to embarrass you, ma'am. But when people start calling 911 because they think someone is going to drown and then that person starts shouting at officers, it becomes our job to step in." Wanda didn't reply. She stared at the floor, her thoughts spinning. The room felt smaller by the minute, the air thicker. She thought about how ridiculous she must have looked, yelling, stumbling, insisting she wasn't drunk while slurring every word. It hit her all at once. She wasn't the victim in that situation. She was the problem. After a long pause, she looked up. "What happens now?" Chino pulled a form from the desk. "We'll process your information, write a citation for public intoxication, and release you when you're sober. You're not looking at jail time unless there's a prior record we don't know about." She nodded faintly. "No record. That's good," he said. "Then it's just a fine and a note to appear in court if required." She exhaled shakily, relieved but still humiliated. About 20 minutes later, the station door creaked open. Sandy stumbled inside, her hair windblown and her eyes red from crying. "Oh my God, Wanda," she cried, rushing toward her friend. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Wanda mumbled. Sandy turned to the officers, her words spilling out in a jumble. "Please, can she just go home? We didn't mean for this to happen. We were just having fun. Everyone was drinking. It's the beach." Officer T folded his arms. "Ma'am, we're not saying you can't have fun. But there's a line. When people start calling because they think you're in danger, it stops being fun and starts being a problem." Sandy nodded, teary-eyed. I know. I should have stopped her." Chino gave a small, understanding nod. "You can take her home once she's processed. She's not being held overnight." Sandy let out a breath of relief. She moved closer to Wanda, gripping her shoulder. "You scared me," she whispered. Wanda looked up, guilt washing over her. "I scared myself," she admitted quietly. The processing took another 20 minutes. Fingerprints, a quick statement, a signed release form. By the time it was over, Wanda looked utterly drained. The playful energy that had defined her earlier was gone, replaced by a subdued, humbled expression. When she was finally uncuffed, she rubbed her wrists absently. "I'm sorry," she said to Chino, her voice barely audible. He nodded once, not gloating, just matter of fact. "I appreciate you saying that. Take this as a lesson, not a punishment." She managed a weak smile. "Believe me, I will." Outside, the night air was cooler now. The boardwalk lights flickered on, casting long, golden reflections across the damp sand. The noise of the beach had quieted. Most families had packed up, leaving only the sound of waves and the occasional cry of a distant gull. As Sandy helped her walk toward their car, Wanda suddenly stopped and looked out toward the ocean. The dark waves rolled endlessly, indifferent to her humiliation, her outburst or her lesson. "I made a fool of myself, didn't I?" she said. Sandy hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, kinda." They both laughed softly, the sound weary but genuine. "You know," Wanda said, staring at the horizon, "it's weird how quick things can turn. One minute you're laughing, the next you're in handcuffs." Sandy wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "At least you didn't hurt anyone." "You'll laugh about it later." "Maybe," Wanda replied. "Just not today." Back inside the station, Chino finished filing the report. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. "It's always the same," he said to his partner. "People come here to relax, drink too much, and then they think we're the bad guys for trying to keep them safe. T shrugged. At least this one didn't end in cuffs and a trip to the hospital. That's something, Chino chuckled quietly. True. He stood and walked to the window, watching the two women disappear into the parking lot. Sandy was half supporting Wanda as they walked, their shadows long under the orange glow of the streetlights. For all her bluster and defiance, Wanda looked small now, fragile even. The morning after the arrest, sunlight crept through the blinds of Wanda's small apartment. Her head throbbed, her mouth felt dry as sandpaper, and for a moment, she didn't remember what had happened. The details of the previous day came back slowly, the laughter, the yelling, the flashing lights of the patrol vehicle, and the cold touch of handcuffs around her wrists. She groaned and rolled over, grabbing her phone from the nightstand. Dozens of notifications lit up the screen, texts, missed calls, social media alerts. Her stomach sank. Wanda's heart dropped. She opened the app hesitantly, and there it was, a shaky phone video with the caption, "Drunk women cause scene on Clearwater Beach. One arrested after refusing to leave." The thumbnail showed her stumbling, shouting at the officers, her face red and defiant. The video already had over 50,000 views. "God, no," she whispered, pressing a hand over her mouth. She watched in silent horror as the footage played, her arguing, denying she was drunk, pointing her finger at Officer Chino, screaming about her rights. Every second of it looked worse than she remembered. She scrolled faster, her chest tightening. A few people defended her, strangers claiming the cops were too harsh, but even those comments made her cringe. She didn't deserve defense. She knew it now. Her phone buzzed again. It was Sandy calling. Wanda hesitated, then answered. "Hey," she said weakly. "Oh my God, Wanda," Sandy said, sounding half worried, half exhausted. "Are you okay? I saw the video. Everyone's talking about it." "I know," Wanda said quietly. "I saw it too. This is bad." Sandy sighed. "It's on TikTok now. People are remixing it, adding music. It's everywhere." Wanda closed her eyes. "Great, I'm a meme now." "Listen," Sandy said softly. "I know it's embarrassing, but don't look at the comments, just don't." "I can't help it," Wanda muttered. "It's like watching my own stupidity on repeat." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The only sound was Wanda's quiet breathing and the faint hum of traffic outside. "I can't believe I acted like that," Wanda finally said. "I was horrible to those officers. I made such a fool of myself." Sandy sighed. "You were drunk, Wanda. You weren't thinking straight." "That's not an excuse," Wanda said firmly. "They warned me over and over, and I just kept yelling. I looked like a total maniac." There was pain in her voice now, not just embarrassment, but remorse. Later that afternoon, Wanda decided she couldn't hide forever. She threw on a hoodie and sunglasses and drove to the beach where everything had happened. The place looked completely different in the daylight, calm, quiet, families setting up umbrellas, kids chasing seagulls. It was hard to believe that only 24 hours earlier, she'd been at the center of chaos. She stood near the same spot by the water, the pink tent now gone, the sand smoothed over by the tide. For a while, she just watched the waves roll in, each one seeming to erase a bit more of her shame. "Hey," she turned. Officer Chino was standing a few feet away, holding a cup of coffee. He wasn't in uniform this time, just wearing a t-shirt and shorts, clearly off duty. "Oh," Wanda said awkwardly. "Hi." He gave a polite nod. "Didn't expect to see you back here." "I didn't expect to come back," she admitted. "I just needed to." Chino studied her expression. No anger, no defiance this time, just sincerity. "Rough morning, huh?" "You could say that," Wanda said with a hollow laugh. "I saw the video." "Yeah, it's making the rounds," he said calmly. "Doesn't take long these days." "I look awful," she said, her voice cracking. "I just wanted to apologize. For how I acted. For yelling, for not listening. You were just doing your job." He nodded slowly. "Thank you. That means a lot. Most people double down when something like that happens." "I almost did," she admitted, "but then I watched myself. I couldn't believe that was me." Chino took a sip of coffee. "You'd be surprised how often we hear that." She smiled faintly. "Well, I guess I learned my lesson the hard way." He shrugged. "At least you learned it. Some don't." They stood in silence for a moment, both watching the water. A little girl nearby laughed as she chased a beach ball. The sound was pure, innocent, the kind of peace Wanda realized she'd disrupted. "I'm gonna lay low for a while," she said quietly. "Maybe do something productive, volunteer, or I don't know, just get my life back together." "That's a good start," Chino replied. "Own it, fix it, and move forward. That's all anyone can do." Wanda nodded. "I plan to." As Chino walked away, Wanda stayed for a while longer. She took a deep breath of the salty air, feeling it sting her lungs in a strangely cleansing way. The beach no longer felt like a place of humiliation, it felt like a place of reflection. In the following days, the online buzz began to fade. New viral stories replaced hers, and soon her 15 minutes of infamy were nearly forgotten. But Wanda didn't forget. She couldn't. She stopped drinking for a while, started journaling, and even joined a local community cleanup program that met at the same beach every weekend. One morning, as she picked up empty cans from the sand, a little boy ran past her laughing, and it hit her how close she'd come to being a danger rather than a bystander. Weeks later, she spotted Officer Chino again, this time supervising a group of volunteers. He gave her a nod. "Good to see you back out here," he said. "You too," she replied with a genuine smile. "Different circumstances this time, much better ones," he agreed. And for the first time since that chaotic afternoon, Wanda truly smiled, not the forced grin of denial or drunken confidence, but a quiet, honest smile that came from somewhere deeper. As she watched the waves roll in again, she realized something simple but powerful. Life doesn't ruin you with one mistake. It gives you a chance to rebuild, but only if you be brave enough to face what you did. That day, as the tide came and went, the woman once known online as Drunk Beach Lady finally washed away the last trace of her old self, leaving behind something far more meaningful: humility, growth, and peace.